Fondant frustrations? Solved. Learn everything you need to know, from firm buttercream under fondant to easy, beginner-friendly recipes and perfect coloring tips. Want crack-free fondant every time? Check out the full tutorials now.
I'm going to be giving you the best recipe for buttercream underneath fondant. And I'm going to be giving you the reasons why it is the best, because yeah, it is soft right now, but the harder it, like the colder it gets, the firmer it becomes. And I'm going to give you the reason why. So this is my condensed milk chocolate buttercream, and we're going to start with a basic vanilla buttercream. Okay, so basically when I make this buttercream, I use 500 grams of butter and 500 grams of condensed milk, and then some vanilla flavoring to get my vanilla buttercream, and then I convert it to chocolate buttercream after the vanilla buttercream is ready. But first of all, guys, let me show you how to make this. So basically you're going to be needing 500 grams of butter to 500 grams of condensed milk, and then you're going to whisk everything together. I like to do it in 2 parts. Okay, so once we are done making our vanilla buttercream, we can add some vanilla flavoring to it and a little bit of salt, and then just whip it together as much as possible to make it very light and fluffy. Okay, so once you are done with that, we're going to convert it to our chocolate buttercream. And the reason why this chocolate buttercream is the best buttercream underneath fondant is because it firms up really hard. Like, it firms up extremely hard, and the reason is because butter at room temperature is solid, and at the same time we are not going to be using cocoa powder to make this buttercream. We're going to be using some melted chocolate. A melted chocolate at room temperature as well is solid, so the hardness of both the butter and the melted chocolate kind of makes it harder than regular buttercream. So this is an amazing crusting buttercream for you, which you don't need you don't need icing sugar for anything, and it is very delicious, and it tastes, the condensed milk gives it the taste of ice cream kind of, so which is amazing. Okay, so this is my vanilla buttercream now that I'm done, and then it is light and fluffy, and this is the consistency I want. So I'm going to take out 200 grams of it, yeah, and I'm going to put in a separate bowl, and I'm adding my vanilla flavoring to it. I use cream vanilla. You can use vanilla extract, or you can use, you know, the real deal. Okay, so I'm taking out 200 grams of that and then putting it in a different bowl, and I'm going to be adding to that 100 grams of melted chocolate. So I'm not adding ganache to it, I'm adding just melted chocolate. All you need to do is take 100 grams of chocolate, weigh it out, and put it in the microwave and melt it down, and then pour it into your chocolate. So if you're going to be doing this, you need a separate bowl and a weighing scale. You don't want to pour your chocolate directly into your buttercream and then put it in the microwave, because everything will become soupy, and you don't want that. So you want to melt your chocolate separately in a different bowl, and then make sure there are no lumps before transferring it into your buttercream, and then stir. The hardness of the butter, normally the butter is solid at room temperature, so the longer it stays, regular buttercream would be, you know, a little soft, a little hard, like just, you know, regular buttercream consistency. But the chocolate kind of makes it a little stiffer once it has like sat for a while. So it is an amazing buttercream underneath your fondant, for those of you that use buttercream underneath your fondant. So all you have to do is mix it together immediately before the chocolate solidifies. You have to do it immediately you like melt it. Otherwise, if you leave it for maybe 2-3 minutes or less, your chocolate will solidify, and then you have to melt, like scoop it out and then melt it again. So this is what we have today. It has an amazing piping consistency, especially if maybe you just made it, or if you want to pipe it, pop it in the microwave for a few seconds until it gets to that consistency you're looking for. But once it sits for a while, it becomes like a little bit harder than regular buttercream. So it's an amazing buttercream for you to use underneath your fondant, and it is awesome. So thank you guys for always watching my videos, and I hope you give me a thumbs up underneath this video if it was useful to you. Thank you, and I will see you in my future tutorials. Bye. Okay, so today I'm going to be showing you guys my fondant recipe. Okay, if this is not your first time, thank you for coming back. It's you guys that keep me in business. Thank you so much. Okay, so one of the questions I've gotten like most recently and too often is about how to make fondant that is pliable and usable and really great regardless of what country you're in, depending on temperature and climate conditions and stuff, that will work for you. Like, if regardless of where you are, what kind of fondant will work for you. So it took me a while to put this together, and like, if you remember, several of you kept asking me, and I was saying, okay, next week. It's finally next week, so I'm going to be showing you guys this fondant, and I took a lot of time to put together. I think this was my 7th time I was making it. Yeah, I did some kind of troubleshooting like 6 times, and then the 6 times, this was the 6th time, yeah, 5 times, and then the 6th one was something I felt I could work with and works perfectly, and you can switch it to your taste, to your liking, depending on what country you're in and how much humidity is there. And I'm going to show you how to do that today. Okay, so for this fondant recipe, we're going to be needing gelatin, and it doesn't need marshmallows. Yes, because my fondant recipe that I'm used to using, I use marshmallows. So this one, you don't need marshmallows. You need regular fondant ingredients, which will be 1 tablespoon of gelatin, and then to that you're going to be adding 1/4 of a cup of water, and then you're going to leave it to bloom. You know how to, gelatin now, just leave for like 10 minutes, and then it will bloom properly before you warm it up. Okay, so today we're going to be using glycerin. I actually bought glycerin for the purpose of this video. I normally don't use glycerin. I'd rather use butter. Glycerin is just like oil, just plain oil, flavorless and colorless and stuff. So but butter has some flavor and a little color and some liquid in it, so it makes your fondant a little softer. So I kind of prefer butter because it's available and it's always there. Or you can use margarine if you are vegan. Okay, so today we're going to be needing some glucose, and that's going to be 1/2 cup of glucose. So into your powdered sugar, which will be 900 grams of powdered sugar. So but to that, first you're going to divide your powdered sugar into 2. So in the bowl you're going to have 450 grams. In this bowl right now I have 450 grams of powdered sugar, and then I'm going to be adding 1/2 cup of glucose to it. And then to that, I'm going to take my gelatin that already bloomed, pop it in the microwave for a few seconds, maybe like 10 seconds, and then I'm also going to add it to this 450 grams. And then also to that, we're going to be adding our glucose, which is 1/2 cup of glucose, don't forget. Okay, so for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be using glycerin, and to that you're going to be needing 2 tablespoons of glycerin. Yes, if you're normally, I'd use margarine or butter, and if I'm going to be using 3 tablespoons. So if you don't have glycerin, that's okay, you can use butter or margarine. So into our bowl, the same bowl where there is 450 grams of icing sugar, we are going to like melt our gelatin mixture that already bloomed, because you want it to bloom properly, because that way when you pop in the microwave it will soften and you won't have those tiny lumps in your fondant. I think when I did my second take, I had tiny lumps of gelatin because I didn't bloom it properly. So you want to make sure it blooms properly. So once you melt it in the microwave for a few seconds, maybe 10 to 30, I think around that, and then you're going to pour it into your bowl of 450 grams, and then you are going to stir. So you want to stir it until it comes together. And then remember, we divided our icing sugar into 2 different parts, 2 equal parts. So the remaining 450, you're going to be adding it in tiny bits. So you're going to add it and stir until it gets to a consistency where you can pour it on top of your mat and then knead. But we're not there yet, so we're going to add a little bit more. Okay, so let's go over our ingredients again. You're going to be needing 900 grams of icing sugar, 2 tablespoons of glycerin, 1/2 cup of glucose, 1/4 cup of water, 1 tablespoon of gelatin. Yes, so you're going to mix it in the manner that I'm mixing it right now. So let me type it for you guys. Check your screen right now. You're going to see where I wrote the ingredients. I hope it's not too tiny for you guys to see. Okay, so that's the base ingredients you're going to be using. And so when it gets to this this consistency where it's too thick to be stirred in a bowl with your spatula, and it is too too thick kind of, so you're going to take it and pour some of your powdered sugar on top of your mat, your silicone mat, and then you're going to scrape down. It takes something you should do, don't mind me, what you should do before now is to rub some butter or some oil or some glycerin on inside your bowl before pouring your icing sugar into it. That way it won't stick as much and you won't have to be using all of your energy to scrape it like I did. Okay, now it is time to knead. So we are going to knead the remaining powdered sugar into this fondant. If you notice what I'm doing, I'm just turning the fondant over on itself in the midst of the icing sugar. I don't know if my English is making sense to you guys. Okay, but that's what I'm doing. I'm basically just trying to knead the remaining icing sugar into it. So one thing I want you guys to notice with this recipe, the reason why it will work for you regardless of where you are, is because I'm being very flexible with it. If you've seen my Swiss marine buttercream recipe as well, I made it very flexible, which means there is no particular amount of butter you can add to that recipe. It depends on the range, and I showed you how to see if it's okay when you should stop. The same thing I'm going to do in this recipe today. So it is already getting firm. Yes, at this point the remaining powdered sugar, you want to take some Tylose powder. This is very what's Tylose powder? It's also called CMC. Yes, so you need just like 1/4 of a teaspoon, and then you're going to mix it with the remaining icing sugar and then finish your kneading, and that's all you have to do. So for me, I feel like this fondant is a little too hard for me, so I'm going to show you guys how I soften it. So what I do is, first thing I do is to knead all of the icing sugar into it properly and make sure it is well kneaded. When I work with icing sugar, I like it, when I work with fondant, I like it to be a little bit soft but not too soft. Like, I don't want it to be hard like sugar paste, or what's that thing called? I want it to be quite soft and malleable, so that when I smoothen, it will smoothen easily, and like when I try to stick it on something, it will stick more easily, and that way it's more malleable and you can work with it. Okay, so what I like to do is to take the fondant and then take some butter. If you don't want to use butter, you can use vegetable shortening or you can use glycerin. But the reason why I like to use butter is because butter has some water content inside of it that makes it, like, I don't know, that makes your fondant a little softer. That's why I like to use butter. You can use butter or use margarine. At this point, your fondant is ready, but it is not ready to be used. This fondant is best if you leave it to rest for a few hours. So I'm going to take it right now, and then I'm going to wrap it in some cling film. Yes, so I'm going to wrap it so it doesn't. What I like to do is first rub some butter around it, so like to be easy and stuff, so it won't stick to my cling film. So I wrap it on inside the cling film and leave it for a few hours. Usually 3 to 4 hours is okay, but usually I like to make my fondant like the night before. Yes, or sometimes when I have help, I make those people make me fondant. I don't know if you get, like, when I have students that come to learn and everything, they learn fondant by making me several batches of fondant. Yeah, I know it's cheating and stuff, but I love it. Okay, so it's best, can you see this was after like 5 hours. It's more malleable and it's easier to use and softer if you leave it for a while. If it gets too strong for you, all you have to do is, of course, when you leave it for a while, to toughen up a little bit. That's what fondant does. All you have to do is put some vegetable shortening or butter on your mat and then knead it a little bit more. It's amazing. I love this fondant because this is this is not exactly my recipe. This was a recipe I was taught some years ago, but I kind of fine-tuned it and worked with it to make it this. So basically it's my recipe. Yeah, it is. Okay, so let me show you guys how well it spreads. See how well it spreads, and it is not difficult. See how nice and easy it spreads. You just have to put some cornstarch on your mat and then spread it. I love it. I think I'm going to use it a little bit more, and when I have students now, I'm also going to teach them the marshmallow fondant as well as this one. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, I'm so glad I finally got to do this. I enjoyed making this video so much. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you in my future tutorials. Please give me a thumbs up on this video, and if you try it out, please let me know. Please, you guys should give me feedbacks on how you like it or how you don't like it or what you think is wrong. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Oh, and if you're in a humid environment, you can add some cornstarch or take away some cornstarch, depending on how strong or how soft you want it to be. Okay, thank you guys, and I will see you in my future tutorials. Bye. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how I make my nude fondant. Yes, so today I'm going to show you how to make 3 different shades of nude fondant. Okay, so if this is your first time on this channel, welcome, and I'm glad you're here. So this is my white fondant, and I'm stretching it because before you use fondant at all, the first thing you need to do is knead it properly. You need it to be well kneaded and soft. So make sure you spend at least 3 to 4 minutes kneading your fondant, depending on the size. If it's a lot more, maybe you'll need up to 10, 15 sometimes, because you need to have it well kneaded. Okay, so today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make nude fondant. So the first thing you want to do is take a tiny piece of your fondant. You don't want to color the whole batch. Take a tiny piece and add a little brown. Do you see how much brown I added to that thing? Just a little brown will do. So now I'm putting some cornstarch on my board, on my silicone mat, so it doesn't stick. So the two colors we're going to be using today is we're going to be using brown and pink. So if you notice on this channel, yeah, like my cake decorating is on a budget. I know I've said that a million times on this channel. So I don't buy every food coloring. Like I think the only colors I buy are the primary colors and then the neutral colors, like blue, red, yellow, yes, and then I have white, I have black, I have brown. I think that's all. The other colors I kind of make them myself. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is add a little bit of pink. So the pink, you want to add a little bit more pink and then just knead it. The pink kind of gives it like kind of warms up the flesh tone. Yes, so this is the first shade of fondant we're going to be doing. The more color you add to it, the deeper it will be. So the next thing you want to do is take some white fondant and take a little bit of your nude fondant, yeah, and then add it together. It's going to give you a lighter shade of nude. So if you want to go darker, all you have to do is add a little bit brown and pink to the initial batch. If you want to go lighter, all you need to do is take a little piece of fondant from the first batch you made, and then you want to add a little bit more white. So now we have two different shades of nude, yeah. So I'm going to take from the second shade again, and then I'm going to add a little bit more white to make it a little bit lighter. So now we're going to have 3 different shades of nude. So when you're coloring your fondant, it's important for you to color tiny batches first, so that way you can control how much color you have or how little or you get. You can control the shades you want, of course. So make sure you don't color the whole batch at once so you can have more control on your coloring. So if you notice, now we have 3 different shades. We have a nude that is kind of really deep, and then another one, and then another one, and then I'm going to show you the white one, and then I'm going to put them side by side for you guys to see. So when you're making nude fondant, basically all you're going to need is pink and brown. That's all. Whether you're making for a white person or for a black person or maybe for an Indian, depending on the skin tone of nude you're making, that's how deep you want the color to be. So thank you guys for watching my channel, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye. Have you ever covered a fondant cake and the bottom was not well covered as well as the top? Or you were covering a fondant cake and then the fondant was not enough and like you have an old patch of cake to cover? Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I fix those problems. Regardless of how like good you are at fondant making, yeah, or cake making, or how much you've made it, how long you've decorated cakes for, sometimes you meet some of these things, and I'm going to show you how to fix it so it doesn't even look like you had that problem when your cake is done. So normally I don't really make tutorial videos anymore because I find them quite tiring, yeah, because they're a lot of work actually, and I've made over 500 tutorial videos on this channel. But I get a lot of these questions, especially about fondant, so I'm just making this one for you guys, so you're welcome. So let's get watching, right? So at intervals, I'm going to be showing you guys what I'm doing, yeah? You notice that at this point I just covered my cake in fondant, and I kind of realized that my fondant was too small. I kind of rolled a little bit too little, or whatever the case is, or maybe you had too little fondant. So at this point it didn't wrap completely, so I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to fix it. So the first thing I want to do is to like make sure the parts that are well wrapped are smooth, right? And you want to smoothen that before it hardens. That's why before I do anything like cut out the parts that is not well wrapped and try to fix it, I'm going to smoothen first. Otherwise, by the time you're done like covering up all of the imperfections, it will be too late to smooth, because you know some parts of your fondant would have set, and if you try too hard, it will have like elephant skin, and that's not what you want. Anyways, at this point, yeah, I'm just smoothing so it can be as smooth as possible, and then we're going to go ahead and fix the problem we have. So you want to take a sharp knife, yeah, or maybe something you use to cut. In my case, I use the disposable razors, and once I use them once or twice, I kind of throw them away and use another one. And they're very cheap, and they come in packs of 10, so you can buy those, or you can use a knife. You can use a kitchen knife if you have a sharp one, or if you have like a knife sharpener at home or anything. So basically, once you're just done smoothing your cake, you've done, most of the smoothing parts, the top, the sides. The reason why you want to do all of these things, like I said initially, is that you need to do that as soon as you cover the cake in front end, because that's the best time to fix any imperfection on these sides that are well covered. So that when you're ready to do the side that is not well covered, by the time you're done, because that would take you a couple of minutes, your front end wouldn't have set. Anyways, I was listening to Burna Boy at this time, yeah? Anyways, so at this point, you want to take your sharp knife or your sharp blade, whatever it is you're using, and you want to cut a straight line. You want to cut the parts of the fondant that is covered from the parts that is covered, and then leave the parts that is not. Let it like have a straight line. Yes? So now this is what we have at this point. So we're going to take the same fondant again and then roll it and then fit it in that space. But before then, I'm going to take a brush and put some fluid on it, like maybe water or fondant glue, and wet it and then put it in that, like you rub it on the part of the on the white part that is covered. I'm really enjoying myself here, yeah, because I love to listen to Burna Boy. Anyway, so we're just going to roll our fondant. Yeah, make sure it's tall enough to cover that spot. And then we're going to roll it and fit it. So you guys should just watch while I do that. Once you've smoothened as much as possible, that's all. There you have it, and you won't be able to tell, but you have to make sure everywhere is smooth before you pick that part and you smoothen as much as possible. So this is the second part. This is the second part of the problem. So for this one, the problem with this cake was the fact that I realized that like I didn't cover it well. Sometimes when you're lifting your fondant and you're trying to, for example, when you lift your fondant to put on your cake, you don't apply it well based on you can't see every side except to turn the turntable. And sometimes you can make mistakes trying to turn the turntable. So in this case, that was what happened. It was kind of loop-sided, so some parts were not covered, like the top and the bottom. This part, you don't have to do patchwork like we did for the first method. This one, you can just use your smoother if it's not too wide a space and smoothing over it. If it's a very wide space, I have another video on this page. I think I posted about 4 years ago, where I showed you guys how to patch if you have patches on your fondant. how not to remove the fondant completely, and how to just, basically just patch the patches you have. Does that make sense? Anyway, so now I'm about to pick up my fondant and then put on my cake, and you're going to see what I'm saying. It kind of became lopsided. Notice I was trying to make the fondant taller than I said I was not going to teach, but I'm kind of used to making tutorials where I'm teaching, so that kind of comes just naturally to me at this point. Anyways, I'm just trying to move the fondant, and I want you to notice the mistake I made. It was lopsided. It was lopsided from the start because the fondant was not tall enough. Usually, when you want to measure the height of your fondant, you have to make sure it is taller than. Notice I was kind of panicking at this point. You have to make sure it is taller than your cake so that you can have ample space on top and beneath when you finish wrapping. And at this point, I was already panicking because I was trying to make it fit, but I did the best I could. Anyway, so at this point, I'm just going to cut the extra fondant and try to smoothen as much as possible. And let me explain what I did at this point, yeah? Look at the bottom is uncovered and look at the side is uncovered as well. So I'm just going to cut. I'm just going to use a smoother to move my fondant to that point without doing any patchwork. So now I'm taking two smoothness and I'm just going to cover up that point before I make my cake as smooth as possible and give it sharp edges. The same thing I did to the top, I'm going to do to the bottom. Take two smoothness and pull it down, pull it up, and cover the spaces you have. That way you don't have to, worry about like having patches and stuff. And you don't have to worry about removing the fondant and starting to do it all over. So cover up the spaces between fondants. The same thing you did to the top, you're going to do to the bottom. Just, move the fondant around and cover up the spaces you have. And that's all. That's about it. It's really not hard. It's very easy. Pull this one down as much as possible. Just keep pulling it down. Don't try to do it all at once. Do it one bit at a time. And be careful so you don't transfer brown onto your white fondant. And that's all you have to do, guys. It's really, really easy. If it's too big, watch the other video I have. If the space is too big, watch the other video I have about patching. And you'll be able to patch the big space you have. So thank you guys for always watching my videos. And I will see you in the next one. Bye. And welcome back to my channel. So today, guys, I'm going to show you guys how to make professional marshmallows. No, what am I saying? I'm going to show you guys how to make marshmallow fondant for professional use. I'm telling you, I've never used regular fondant everybody uses. I use just marshmallow fondant, and it is very easy to make and it is very cheap. All you're going to need are just icing sugar, some marshmallows of course, and some butter, and that's all. So if you want to see how I make my fondant, stay tuned and keep watching. So guys, all you're going to need are some marshmallows and some icing sugar. So I make all of my cakes with this fondant. I've never used the regular one, and it works perfectly well. You can use it in molds, you can use it to make flowers, you can use it to make very delicate parts of the cake. You can basically use it to make anything. You just have to make it to the right consistency, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that today, because consistency is very important in fondant making. Okay, so let's get to it. The first thing we're going to do is take some marshmallows, and today we're going to use the recipe I normally use. So you need 200 grams of marshmallows and 500 grams of icing sugar. And then you're going to put the marshmallows in a bowl, and then you're going to wet the bowl. You're going to wet the marshmallows in the bowl. And what I like to do is you want every part of the marshmallows to be coated with water. So I like to fill my bowl with water first and then dump out all of the water. So you're sure every single part of your marshmallows are wet. Because if that's not what you did, when you put it in the microwave, instead of melting and becoming soft and pliable, it becomes as if you're trying to make s'mores. I don't know if that makes sense. So you're going to put it in the microwave for about 1 minute. And it's important when you do this, you don't let it get too soft, because if you let it get too soft, it's going to lose the structure. So you should put it at about 1 minute or maybe 30 seconds interval. So in case your microwave is more powerful than mine, maybe it's better you use 30 seconds interval twice. Yes. So when you're buying your icing sugar, it's important that you buy very smooth icing sugar. Don't buy those ones that have big particles, because you're going to see it in your fondant and it's going to affect how your work comes out, and it means your fondant is going to sweat much more than it should. So what you want to do is buy very smooth icing sugar, and it's important that you sift it first. There are days I'm working on a cake and I'm too lazy and I feel like, oh, I don't want to sift it, it looks smooth, and then I try to make the fondant and then I get lumps in my fondant, and that way like it stresses you out like times 10. So like to save yourself the stress, just sieve it. Like it takes maybe 10 seconds, just sieve it. Like it will save you a lot of stress. So what you want to do first is to sieve it on top of your mat, because you're going to make the fondant on a mat. The reason why you're using a silicone mat is so it doesn't stick. So if you intend to make fondant, please invest in a good silicone mat. It is very cheap. It's about maybe $3-4 maximum. So guys, the next thing you want to do at this point is take your marshmallows out of the microwave and see what you should have. You don't want it to be completely melted because you don't want it to be gooey. You just want the structure to break down a little and be soft. So you're going to mash it, the remaining structured part, with your spatula. Do you get what I mean? Like you don't want it, yes, you put it in the microwave, you can melt it completely into like almost liquid, but that's not what you want. This is the consistency you want. You want it to look like you made a meringue, or if you never made a meringue before, you want it to look like I don't know how to explain this, but can you guys see what I'm talking about? Like it is not too liquidy, it is just soft marshmallows. It's not like adding water to it. You're not adding water to it. The water is just to make it like not become s'mores in the microwave, to make it wet. Yes, so it's just marshmallows we have in this bowl. It's not like you added water to it, you're just wetting the marshmallows, if that makes sense, because that's very important. Otherwise your marshmallows will be too soupy, and then when you make fondant with it, it becomes too soft, and then it is not pliable, or it is not like, I don't know, it's not, you want it to be drawy. Does that make sense? I'm a Nigerian. What is drawy? You want it to stretch, yes, without breaking. Yes, that's the word. So when you do that, make sure like you don't add water to it. The water is just to make your marshmallows wet, and then you drain out the water. So what I did was I stirred it like really well. So like I broke every lump in the marshmallow, and then I poured my icing sugar into it and scraped out the bowl onto my silicone mat. So what I'm going to do next right now is I'm going to use my hands, and we're going to make our fondant. So now it is time to knead. And how you knead this is you don't want to dip your hand into it, because that way it becomes very messy and sticky. So you're just going to be patting the icing sugar on top of your marshmallows. Don't worry, it looks like you're just playing with it, like it won't combine, but don't worry, to get the work done and it will combine really well without becoming too messy. So if you notice what I'm doing, I'm patting the extra icing sugar. I know it looks like icing sugar is much, but it is not much. Just make sure you measure correctly and do exactly what I do, and you're going to get the perfect marshmallows, guys. Like, so just keep patting the icing sugar on top of the marshmallows. Yes, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do this until it is well combined and smooth. And if you notice, I already sifted it, so it is already smooth. You're just patting the icing sugar into the marshmallows. So can you see it is getting easier to knead? Like now when I'm trying to knead it, my fingers are not dipping into it. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take all of the extra icing sugar all around it, pack it in one place, and try to knead everything into the fondant. Make sure like everything you sifted, because we are measuring, you measure to the T. That's the only way you're guaranteed to get the required result. So measure to the T. You need 200 grams of marshmallows and 500 grams of icing sugar. Smooth, well sifted icing sugar, that's what you need. Don't worry, it looks like the fondant is formed right now and you don't need any of this excess, but you do need them. So the more you knead it into it, what I like to do is to pack the excess icing sugar and put in the middle of the marshmallows and try to squeeze it together until everything absorbs. It makes it faster and easier to knead the extra into it. And then when you do this, you notice it's becoming very hard and it is not as pliable as you want it to be. So once you do this, you want it to be hard. Yes, don't worry, at this stage it is hard. I'm going to show you how to soften it and make it pliable and easy to use after this. So now you're going to scrape all of the icing sugar from the sides again, because you want to incorporate everything you sifted on your silicone mat into your fondant. So you're going to pack everything and knead every bit of the icing sugar into your marshmallows. Yes, that's what you want to do. So at this stage, most people use Crisco or vegetable shortening, but that's expensive where I live in Ukraine, so I use butter. And I found that butter doesn't really change the color, and it doesn't change the taste, and it doesn't change the texture, and it gives you a really nice fondant. So why waste so much money buying Crisco when you can use butter, guys? So but it's important to know that you should use unsalted butter. I use unsalted butter to make my buttercream, so I don't have to buy extra butter for making fondant. So make sure it is unsalted butter because you don't want to be serving your customers salted fondant. You get? Okay, so can you see how pliable it's becoming? But it is not even pliable enough yet. You want it to be really pliable, like when you fold it, like it molds into one as best as possible. So we're going to add some more butter. I don't have a measurement for how much butter I add. I just want it to get to a particular consistency. You get, and I'm going to show you guys how to get there. The more butter you add, the softer it gets. Can you see it's becoming more pliable and more easier to work with? Sorry guys, I'm repeating myself. So when we're done with that, what we're going to do is we're going to take the fondant and put it aside, and then clean up our silicone mat. And then I'm going to show you how to preserve it so it doesn't harden up when you wrap it and leave it, in case you don't want to use it that day. And it's important to know that if you make it the day, it's best you don't use it that day, use it the next day or after that, because the fondant becomes even better, like more pliable and softer the second day. Yeah, so see how soft this is, and it's stretchy. That's kind of fondant you want. And mind you, there is no CMC or Tylose powder in this fondant. It is just icing sugar and marshmallows. It is the best marshmallow fondant in the world, I promise you guys. Okay, so what you want to do right now is to wrap it in a cling film, but first you have to rub butter on it because you want it to be pliable. You don't want it to dry hard like a stone. If you just put it in a cling film like that, it's going to dry hard like a stone, and that's not what you want. So rub it in some butter and then put it in a cling film. And then the next time when you bring it out, you want to use, just pop in the microwave for about 30 seconds and then knead with some butter, and that's what you have to do. So right now we're going to wrap it, and that's all she wrote, and you have the perfect fondant in the world. And it makes the best cakes, guys. It covers anything you want to cover, and it is pliable, it is smooth. You can make flowers and all sorts with it. Like, it is perfect. So thank you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video if it was useful to you. And welcome back to my channel. Okay, so today, I get this question a lot about how to soften fondant. So, like, how do you soften your fondant? It seems like really easy because almost in all my fondant videos, I make how to soften fondant. Like, I don't say how to soften fondant, but like, I soften the fondant in front of you people. So, like, I wonder how, like, but okay, so today we're going to be learning how to soften fondant. So, I'm going to show you guys two different textures, yeah? So this is already made fondant that I bought. See how hard, yeah? This is me trying to break pieces, see? And it's not like being stretchy or anything. It's just breaking like, you know, like you would break bread, see? It's not stretching or anything. So today I'm going to show you guys how to soften this fondant. But then let me show you guys this one. This is at room temperature without touching it. And this is my fondant that I made already. So this is my marshmallow fondant. It's a lot softer to work with because, like, I know the consistency I make, and it's, see, I haven't kneaded it. By the time I knead it, it becomes a lot softer. And I don't need to knead it with any shortening or cocoa powder because, like, I'm already used to this consistency and I know how to get there, especially for the weather I live at. So if you want to see how to make this marshmallow fondant, you can, I'm going to put a link right up here so you can check it out and see how to do that yourself. But if you make a fondant that is already hard, or you bought fondant that is too hard, today I'm going to show you how to soften it, and not soften it too much. It won't, you know, make your cake too sloppy, and at the same time soften it just enough perfectly for you to cover your cake. I'm blabbing too much. Oh yeah, this fondant is the color of my lipstick, see? I played too much. Okay, so let's get started, yeah? Yeah. Okay, so guys, this is the fondant we're working with today, and then we're going to be kneading with some butter. You don't have to knead with butter if you have vegetable shortening, but the reason why I like to use, and this is some cornstarch, we're going to put that aside. The reason why I like to use butter is because butter has some water content in it that softens your fondant even more. But for shortening, it's just fat, you get. So if you use butter, it kind of changes the color of your fondant just slightly, just a little, because it's just a little bit you need. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to keep kneading. You don't want to put it in the microwave, guys. I used to make this mistake of taking my fondant and putting it in the microwave because that's an easy fix. But the more you knead it and like try to, we've not added anything. I'm just rubbing it in between my fingers and like, making the warmth of my fingers, make it warm. So the warmth of my fingers will increase the temperature of the fondant, which will make it a little bit more pliable. And then so now I'm adding some butter to my mat, and then I'm kneading. You want to knead to the consistency that is okay for you. The reason why I'm saying consistency okay for you is because we live in different parts of the world, and different parts of the world have different humidity. And your fondant will act differently if it's in a different part that has more or even less humidity. So you have to find what is best for you, and you can only do that by working with it over time. So don't be afraid to use fondant. Just know that the more you use it, the more you get used to it, and see how soft it is getting. Yeah, can you see how stretchy and nice? This is the stretch test. I like to stretch it and see how well it stretches. But I think I still want to knead it a little bit more, so I'm adding a little bit more butter and kneading it a little bit more. And I'm going to show you guys how to do the poke test. See how well it stretches. Yeah, this is where you're going. It takes, I think this took me like 10, what am I saying, like 2 minutes basically. It doesn't take time at all. Don't pop it in the microwave. Microwave is an easy fix, and it will ruin your fondant, it will ruin the texture, whether it's fondant that you made yourself or that you bought. So this is where you want to be at. See how stretchy and see how nice. Yeah. So now let me show you guys how to do the poke test. This is a stretch test. You want to stretch it and let it not cut. Yeah, that's how you know like you're at the consistency you want, and that whatever this thing you want. So now, like, what I'm trying to do is I'm going to show you guys how to do the poke test. All you have to do is mold it round and then dip your finger into it. If it goes in without resistance, then it is good to go. Another thing I like to do if I'm going to store it is to just put a little bit butter on the board, on the mat, and then just roll it inside. See, that's the poke test. See how nicely it went in. Yeah, just to poke into it, and if it goes in. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my future tutorials. Bye. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Okay, so today I'm making another beginner friendly tutorial for beginners that do not want to spend so much on cake classes. So I'm making like targeted videos for you guys, so you guys can know how to frost a cake from start to finish. So today I'm going to teach you how to cover a cake in fondant without having any cracks or folds or tears in your fondant. So that's what we're gonna do today. But before we go ahead, guys, I'd like you to subscribe to my channel and like this video, and maybe send me a comment in the comment section below. It helps me get better chances on YouTube. Thank you. Okay, so today I already made my fondant, and I'm going to have a fondant recipe tutorial ready for you guys as soon as possible. And I'm already kneading my fondant in some butter. I don't need my fondant in Crisco or in vegetable shortening. I need it in fondant because fondant is really nice and it has some water content, so it makes your fondant more pliable. I'm going to give you guys a tutorial for that very soon. So right now I'm trying to knead it well so I can roll out the fondant and cover my cake. And I already covered my cake in white chocolate ganache, because white chocolate ganache or dark chocolate ganache are the best, in my opinion, the best base for your fondant cake, because it gives it this really nice, like, amazing smooth base before you cover your cake in fondant. And if you want to see how I covered that in ganache and how I made the ganache, I'm going to put the link right up here. All you have to do is click on it. It says white chocolate ganache, so just click on that and you're going to see how I did that, so you can do it by yourself. It is very easy. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put some cornstarch or some potato starch, in my case, on the table, on the mat, on the silicone mat, and then spread our fondant. What you want to do is spread your fondant wide enough to cover the whole of your cake. It doesn't have to cover like to the bottom of your cake if your cake is really tall, but you want to spread it wide enough to be able to cover like double the perimeter of the top of your cake, like, if that makes sense. Okay, so what you want to do is spread it out evenly. You don't want there to be bulges, you don't want one side to be higher than the other. and you don't want it to be too thick. You just want it to be around maybe 2 millimeters thick. And then this step is very important. Take a smoothener and then smoothen it while it is still on your mat. That is very important, because that way it helps you put everything even better together. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to lift our fondant very fast. This step has to be super fast, because if you're not fast enough, your fondant is gonna stretch. So you lift it very fast and then put it on top of your cake. And then the next thing you want to do is to smoothen the top of your cake as soon as possible before it dries up. And the reason you're doing this is because you want there to be no bubbles underneath your cake, because if there are bubbles, you would see it. So guys, this is how you prevent cracks and tears in your fondant. So the important thing for you to do at this stage is to start from the top. Make sure like you touch and smoothen the top of your cake round before you try to go to the bottom. Don't first go from top to bottom. All you have to do first is to go around the top of your cake. Make sure your fondant adheres to the very top of your cake before you try to smoothen other parts. This way, like, you're reducing the chances of having folds and cracks, like maybe 90 times. Like, I don't know how to explain that, but the first thing you should do is smoothen the top. And then once the top of your cake is smooth, around the side of the top of your cake, and then you can start moving downwards. And you should do it slowly. You don't have to do it too fast. And when you're smoothing, you should smooth from side to side. Like, make sure you go the first perimeter maybe 2 centimeters up, and then you move downward a little and go around again, and then move downward a little and go around again till you get to the bottom of your cake, if that makes sense. Look at what I'm doing. I started from the bottom and I went round, and then went a little bit downward and went round again, and went a little bit downward and went around again. Oh god, I'm chewing my mouth. Basically, that is what you should do. And if that confuses you, I want you to watch this video like 3-4 times and try to do what I did. Like, you go around from the very top of your cake first. Doing that the first time kind of reduces your chances of having cracks. And then once you're done with the very top, you go again, you move downward again, then move downward again, and that's all you have to do. And then now that you've gotten to the bottom of your cake, all you have to do is to cut out the extra fondant around the perimeter of your cake. And then try to smoothen it as much as you can. And that's all. Like, you have your cake perfectly covered in fondant. If this kind of like confuses you, I want you to like turn off the volume of this thing and then watch it like 2-3 times and look at what I did with my hands, and that will make it way easier for you. And then all you have to do is smoothen, and then you're done. So if this video was useful to you, could you please give me a thumbs up, and could you please send it to someone you know that would like to learn cake decoration but can't really afford the prices cake decorators charge and everything. So thank you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much, and I'll see you.